You're listening to Putin's Friend, Democracies Enemy, Book 1 by Anthony Tremain, narrated by the author. Chapter 1. A True Fairy Tale.
Once upon a time, there was a teenage boy who loved to start fights. Not so unusual, except for the fact this boy came from a wealthy family. He had all the advantages, but apparently for him, those advantages were not enough. One day, he decided to up his fight-starting bullying game by going to a less fortunate part of town to buy a switchblade. Luckily, his father caught him before he could do the deed and decided this was the time to send his rebellious son to military school, hoping, of course, it would knock the bully out of him. It didn't work. The young bully grew up to be a business bully, threatening suppliers, stiffing contractors, defaulting on loans, declaring bankruptcy, and, when all else failed, taking his opponents to court, where almost always he lost. But with his father's money and reputation, the business bully was able to drag the legal process out until his creditors and their legal resources were exhausted, and they were forced to agree to pennies on the dollar in an out-of-court settlement. After many years of this barely legal but totally immoral conduct, the business bully had amassed a considerable fortune, although a precarious one, as it was constantly threatened by lawsuits, bankruptcies, and disgruntled former employees. Bottom line, the bully's businesses were a house of cards that could come tumbling down at any time. What to do? Simple. Become President of the United States. And that's just what the business bully, Donald John Trump, did. He managed to convince some electors, the facts notwithstanding, that he was the consummate businessman, and what America needed to be great again, whatever that means, was to be run as a business, with, of course, the Donald as the CEO. However, Trump wasn't able to convince the majority of the American people, as you well know. He was outvoted by 3 million votes. But, due to a well-intentioned though totally flawed cog in the American electoral machine known as the Electoral College, Donald John Trump was awarded the Oval Office. Now he could and did start fights internationally, bullying not with the switchblade he never got, but with the sanctioning and legislative powers of the presidency. And, of course, equally importantly, he could schmooze with all the other international bullies he admired and fawned over. Hungary's Orsov, Brazil's Jair rather have a dead son than a gay one, Bolsonaro, and naturally the international bully he absolutely idolizes, Vladimir Putin. The Donald dreams of having the same absolute my way or you'll be buried under the highway powers of Putin. No political opposition. All who disagree, disturb, simply disappear. With notably the exception, so far, of the female protest group Pussy Riot, and only because after creating such a massive international presence, their disappearance would have been a public relations disaster for the shirtless man on horseback. As his term in office and actions have confirmed, the Donald wants to be king, like Putin. But he has 2 roadblocks to this blonde ambition: Congress and the House of Representatives. If only they were out of the picture, it would be clear sailing for the would-be king. However, they are not. But never fear, the Donald has a plan, one that he and his senatorial partner in slime, Mitch the Witch McConnell, have been implementing at warp speed. That plan is to appoint judges of the caliber of Brett Kavanaugh to every court in the land, high, medium, and low. Trumpingly simple, isn't it? The same M.O. that Donald used to crush his business detractors, and now he's expanding it to deny the American people everything that is anti-Trump.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?